PSG making a bold move for Kvaratskhelia. Rashford possibly joining Manchester United's direct rivals. Guardiola planning a triple transfer swoop. Plus a shocking twist in Victor Osimhen's transfer saga. And Juventus eyeing a Barcelona star. All this and more in today's episode. So sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. You've probably noticed that there's been a lot of unsettling talk around Barcelona lately. One of their key defenders, Ronald Araujo, might be heading for the exit, and not just anywhere. According to the latest rumors, he could be on his way to Juventus in Turin. Shocking, right? Here's what's being reported. Mundo Deportivo claims that Araujo has been venting to his teammates about his frustration and is ready to leave as early as this winter rather than waiting for the summer window. However, inside sources suggest that while he's open to leaving, his ideal destination would be England, not Italy. Meanwhile, Sport.es reports that Barcelona is actually open to selling him, not on loan, but permanently, for around 45 million euros. For context, Transfermarkt currently values him at 55 million euros. But with his contract running down and no extension talks in sight, Barca is apparently willing to lower their asking price. Honestly though, that price seems way too low for a defender of his caliber. Araujo is top class, but time isn't on Barca's side. If they don't act fast, they risk losing him for free. Now Juventus has entered the race, showing serious interest despite Araujo's own preference for a Premier League move. Rumor has it that right after the Super Cup, the old lady will step up their pursuit. But here's the catch. Juve reportedly wants him on loan first, with the option to buy later. Naturally, that might not sit well with Barcelona. They'd likely demand a permanent sale, or, at the very least, a loan deal with a mandatory buy clause. If Juve takes him on loan and then sends him back, it could damage his market value and make other clubs hesitant to bid for him. Barca wants a clear-cut deal, either a full transfer or a loan with an obligation to buy. So, the situation is tricky. If Barca is really willing to sell for 45 million euros, it could be a gamble worth taking. But at the same time, I wouldn't count Araujo out just yet. He still has a lot to offer, and his best years might still be ahead. While Juventus is an interesting option, there's still the question of a potential move to England. Given his injury history, something we've discussed before, that could be a concern. La Gazzetta dello Sport reports that Juve is preparing to sign him on loan, and Araujo has already given the green light because he wants more regular game time. Meanwhile, Relevo claims that contract renewal talks between him and Barcelona have completely broken down. Apparently, he's even told his teammates that he's feeling burnt out, both physically and mentally. So it's not surprising that he's looking for a fresh start. A loan move to Juventus might be just what he needs to reset and get back to his best. As for Juventus, things aren't exactly smooth sailing there either. Their financial situation is far from ideal due to overspending, inconsistent league performances, and even financial scandals. The club's management is trying to rebuild, but they'll need to be smart about their transfer business. Injuries have also hit them hard. Bremer's ACL injury has been a huge blow, leaving them desperate for a new center-back. The Italian newspaper La Repubblica even reports that Araujo's loan move to Juve is practically a done deal. He's expected to undergo a medical and sign his contract next week. Not long ago, Araujo was seen as the backbone of Barcelona's defense, and now, here we are. But if this move happens, it could be a real turning point for him. For Juventus, it's a temporary fix for their defensive struggles, and for Araujo, it's a chance to rebuild his career in a new environment. How do you think this transfer saga will end? Will Araujo find his way to the Premier League, or will he make Turin his new home? Let us know your thoughts. Could Leo Messi be making a shocking return to Europe? You'd think he's living the dream in Miami, playing football under the sun and enjoying life in the US. Everything seems perfect. But here's the twist. There's still fire in him. And with the 2026 World Cup approaching, the latest rumors suggest he might pull off a surprise move back to Europe. Now that raises an obvious question. Why? Well, for starters, MLS is great, but let's be real. The World Cup is a different beast. If Messi wants to be in peak form when the tournament kicks off, he'll need tougher competition to stay sharp. Here's where it gets interesting. Inter Miami themselves don't seem to be against this idea. Reports suggest that the new contract they're offering Messi includes a special clause, an escape hatch of sorts, allowing him to play in Europe at the end of 2025 and early 2026 to stay in top shape. Smart move, right? It's a win-win. Messi keeps his rhythm, Argentina benefits, and Inter Miami still gets to claim they have the GOAT, even if he takes a temporary detour. So, where could Messi land? Let's be honest, there's one name on everyone's mind: Barcelona. Where else? He's definitely not heading to Real Madrid. Or could he? Just kidding. Or am I? All jokes aside, a return to the club where he became a legend, where he's adored and still deeply missed, missed. That would be a story for the ages. And let's be real, Barca could use some magic right now. They're struggling both on and off the pitch, and bringing Messi back, even for a short spell, would be a massive boost. Not just emotionally, but financially. Imagine the Messi jerseys flying off the shelves in record numbers. Of course, this is all just speculation. No official papers, no confirmation. But can you picture Messi stepping onto the Camp Nou pitch one more time? Even if it's just for a few months, that would be a dream come true for football fans worldwide. And for Messi, it could be a chance to relive the European stage before one last World Cup push. That said, we also know that Messi has always put his family's happiness first. So it's possible he might opt for a less demanding league with lower pressure. But deep down, something tells me the Barcelona chapter isn't finished yet. What do you think? Will Messi really return to Europe? And if so, where do you see him going? Let's hear your thoughts. Florian Plettenberg from Sky Sport Germany has just dropped a bombshell. Sporting are standing firm and have no intention of selling their star striker Viktor Gyökeres this winter. Yes, the Swedish goal machine they signed in 2023 for a club record 20 million euros is officially off the market, at least for now. And here's the craziest part. His value has skyrocketed in just a year and a half. Rumors suggest his current worth has quintupled. That's right, 5 times his original fee. Now that's what I call a brilliant investment. Gyökeres has transformed into one of Europe's most lethal strikers in no time. So, naturally, who comes knocking? Bayern Munich, of course. These guys can't seem to rest until they've secured every top talent out there. But let's be real, who wouldn't want Gyökeres right now? The guy is an unstoppable force, a goal-scoring machine, and a pure nightmare for defenders. And Bayern? They're already making moves. Their scouts have been all over his games, quietly meeting with agents, and, according to reports, they were especially impressed with his performance against Porto. Now let's talk numbers. Gyökeres' market value has surged to around 75 million euros. But here's the real kicker. His contract includes a 100 million euro release clause. Given today's transfer market, that doesn't even sound outrageous. Clubs are splashing that kind of cash on average players. And Gyökeres, he's already proving he's worth every penny. That said, a winter transfer to Bayern looks highly unlikely. Sporting have made it clear they won't budge. And honestly, who can blame them? Why sell your top scorer in the middle of the season? They need him now more than ever. So if Bayern want him, they'll have to wait until the summer. And personally, I think Bayern would be a dream destination for Gyökeres. Yes, they already have Harry Kane, and obviously, he's still a world-class striker. But let's be honest, Kane isn't getting any younger. Injuries happen. And if there's one thing we know about Bayern, it's that they're always planning ahead. And speaking of Bayern's transfer tactics, remember the Lewandowski situation? Everything seemed normal. And then out of nowhere, boom, he was off to Barcelona. So, would it really be shocking if Kane's future at Bayern wasn't set in stone? Either way, Gyökeres joining Bayern would make perfect sense. A top European club, a competitive league, and a system that would allow him to keep racking up goals. Honestly, at this point, Bayern might even be a more attractive destination than most Premier League teams. But here's where things get even more interesting. There are rumors of a gentleman's agreement between Gyökeres and Sporting. Allegedly, Sporting will let him go in the summer for around 75 million euros. If that's true, it looks like Sporting are already mentally preparing for life without their Swedish superstar. Now, over to you. Do you think Gyökeres should make the move to Bayern in the summer? Or should he stay and keep tearing it up at Sporting? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Manchester United has set its sights on Brentford forward Bryan Mbeumo and is gearing up for a transfer battle with Arsenal. And honestly, why wouldn't they? The guy has been nothing short of sensational this season. With Ivan Toney sidelined, Mbeumo has stepped up as Brentford's main man, delivering a stellar 13 goals in just 20 matches, his best tally yet. Just think about it. Only Haaland and Salah have outperformed him in the Premier League this season. No wonder top clubs are circling around him. For context, Brentford signed him back in 2019 for nearly £6 million, which was a record fee for them at the time. And what a bargain that turned out to be. MBEUMO has evolved into a dynamic forward who can thrive in multiple attacking roles. Reports suggest that his work ethic and ability to turn games around have caught the attention of Ruben Amorim, who highly values adaptability and determination in his players. Now, where does Manchester United fit into this? Well, as we've mentioned before, the club is in rebuild mode. Their strategy is to fund transfers through player sales, and adding a versatile, in-form forward like Mbeumo could bring a much-needed spark to their attack. attack. But they're not alone. Arsenal is also in the race, looking to bolster their squad as they push for the Premier League title. However, Brentford manager Thomas Frank has made it clear MBEUMO is not for sale in January. Pretty straightforward, right? But things could change in the summer. Reports suggest that United is ready to double his current salary of £50,000 per week to lure him away. But here's the catch. United needs to sell players first to make this deal happen. That's just the financial reality. Meanwhile, MBEUMO is under contract with Brentford until 2026, which gives his club a strong hand in negotiations. On the flip side, the player himself has hinted at ambitions beyond Brentford. In a recent interview with L'Équipe, he expressed his desire to play for a top club and compete in elite tournaments. So, while Brentford may want to keep him, MBEUMO himself might be open to making a big move. This leads us to the big question. Can MBEUMO handle the pressure at Manchester United? On one hand, his performances for Brentford have been nothing short of outstanding. He brings energy, creativity, and a goal-scoring touch that could certainly strengthen United's attack. But can he replicate that form at a club where the expectations and pressure are far greater? That's the real test. According to the Daily Star, Manchester United is preparing a £40 million bid for MBEUMO this summer, a price that, in today's inflated market, seems quite reasonable. But wait, Newcastle might also throw their hat in the ring. Reports suggest United is willing to wait until summer to avoid overpaying in January. And to fund the transfer, they might offload certain players, possibly even Alejandro Garnacho. The young Argentine is reportedly frustrated with his limited game time, making a move away a realistic possibility. So, what's the final verdict? The potential MBEUMO transfer is definitely one to watch. He's an exciting talent, and any move he makes will add an extra layer of intrigue to the summer window. But the big question remains, does Manchester United truly need him, or are they just chasing a rising star without a clear plan? Only time will tell. And for now, we'll be keeping a close eye on how this saga unfolds. Marcus Rashford, the hometown hero of Manchester United, could be gearing up for a major move. According to reports, especially from Italian journalists, Arsenal has made serious inquiries about him. Can you imagine? The Gunners are eyeing a player who, not too long ago, seemed like an untouchable figure at Old Trafford. But in football, things can change fast. And let's not ignore the fact that Rashford himself doesn't appear too keen on staying at United. It's the usual story. New manager, limited game time, and suddenly, fresh challenges start looking a lot more appealing. Now let's break this down. Arsenal is clearly struggling in attack, and out of nowhere, an opportunity emerges to bring in a forward of Rashford's quality. But of course, there are a few obstacles. First, his wages. He's on a hefty £300,000 per week. Not every club is willing to take on that kind of financial commitment. And honestly, who can blame them in today's market? Then there's the transfer fee. United reportedly values him at £50 million, while Arsenal believes he's worth closer to £25 million. That's a huge difference, making negotiations anything but straightforward. And here's where things get even more interesting. Arsenal isn't the only club in the mix. Rashford has attracted attention from several teams, including AC Milan, Napoli, and Borussia Dortmund. These clubs are reportedly exploring loan options, though United would obviously prefer to sell him outright to raise funds for new signings. That's where United faces a dilemma. Either sell him for a lower price than they'd like, or keep him and continue paying his massive wages. Not an easy choice. But let's be honest, seeing Rashford in an Arsenal kit feels a little surreal, doesn't it? Moving to a direct rival would be a huge decision, and he'd have to fight hard for a starting spot under Mikel Arteta. So, what will he do? Take on the challenge at Arsenal? Or choose a fresh start in Serie A where life might be a little less intense? Honestly, that doesn't sound like a bad option either. One thing is almost certain. Something is going to happen. The real question is how this transfer saga will unfold. What do you think? Could Rashford really leave Manchester United? And if so, where should he go? Let us know in the comments. If the latest reports are to be believed, Real Madrid, who have had their eyes on Trent Alexander-Arnold for quite some time, might be facing unexpected competition. And surprisingly, it's none other than Bayern Munich stepping into the race. To sum it up, it's no secret that Real Madrid has been monitoring Alexander-Arnold for a while. With his contract set to expire soon, rumors suggest that Los Blancos have already dropped a few hints about making a move. But as we all know, nothing is certain until pen meets paper. Now, out of nowhere, Bayern Munich has entered the picture. According to sources from the Spanish press, Real Madrid was genuinely caught off guard when they heard about Bayern's interest. And honestly, it makes sense. Bayern is a powerhouse when it comes to recruiting elite talent, and they seem determined to make this deal happen. Reports indicate that Bayern is prepared to offer Trent an extremely tempting salary, and more importantly, a crucial role in their tactical setup. Vincent Kompany, their new boss, reportedly sees Alexander-Arnold as a game-changing addition to his squad. Whether that will be enough to convince Trent remains to be seen. But here's the big question. What about Liverpool? Are they truly ready to let one of their biggest stars walk away? Things aren't looking great for the Reds. According to insiders, keeping hold of Trent might be a near-impossible challenge. And let's be honest, when two European giants come calling, especially with his contract running out, it's hard for any player to ignore the opportunity. That said, there's another twist. Some reports claim that Alexander-Arnold isn't all that interested in a move to the Bundesliga. Supposedly, his top priorities are either staying at Liverpool or making the switch to Madrid. And let's face it, Real Madrid's name carries enormous weight in football. Who wouldn't want to wear that legendary white jersey? But as we all know, football is unpredictable. Bayern Munich isn't giving up without a fight. They know Real Madrid needs a long-term solution at right back, especially with Dani Carvajal getting older and struggling with injuries. For them, Trent looks like the ideal fit. So, the biggest question now is, what will Trent decide? Will he stick it out at Liverpool for another year and leave for Madrid on a free transfer in 2025? Will he take a leap of faith and embrace a new challenge with Bayern? Or will Liverpool pull off a miracle and convince him to extend his contract? Personally, I think Real Madrid still has the upper hand in this race. Their prestige, their ambition, and Trent's rumored preference for La Liga all work in their favor. But Bayern shouldn't be underestimated. They know how to pull off surprising transfers when no one expects it. And of course, we can't completely count out Liverpool. Arne Slot sees Trent as a vital piece of the puzzle, and the club will surely do everything possible to keep him. But let's be real, it won't be easy. So what do you think? Where do you see Trent Alexander-Arnold playing next season? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. It looks like Pep Guardiola is ready to shake things up at Manchester City, and he's not wasting any time, even in the middle of the season. According to reports, the citizens aren't just eyeing potential signings, they're actively negotiating with 3 players right now. And it doesn't stop there. By the end of the month, we could see even more arrivals. It seems City is serious about revitalizing their squad and turning around what has been, let's be honest, a fairly underwhelming campaign. Looks like they've learned some lessons. First up, if the rumors are true, Eintracht Frankfurt's Omar Marmoush is high on City's radar. But of course, this raises one key question. What's going on with Haaland? Could there be something interesting happening there as well? Regardless, Marmoush is proving to be quite the forward, with 18 goals to his name so far this season. Not bad at all. Negotiations seem to be in full swing, with sources in Germany even suggesting that personal terms with the player are already sorted. But it's not just about the attack. Changes are coming to City's defense too. The club is reportedly eyeing Abdulkadir Kusanov from Lens and Vitor Reis from Palmeiras. Both are young and promising, which makes sense. City's defense hasn't been as solid as it could be recently, so fresh blood could be exactly what Guardiola needs. Now things really heat up in the midfield. The word is that City is looking to add 2 midfielders this window. The top targets, Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle and Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. If these moves happen, it would be a massive statement. But let's be real, Newcastle is a team on the rise and unlikely to part with one of their best players, and Real Sociedad is a tough team to negotiate with. That said, City always has a plan B, which brings us to an old name, Douglas Luiz. Remember him? It turns out that Juventus might be open to letting him leave on loan. He's still on the radar, and if things don't work out with the top targets, Luiz could be a solid backup. Of course, where there are potential arrivals, there are also departures. Manchester City has a few interesting situations brewing. İlkay Gündoğan, who is back at the club, has the option to extend his contract, but his future at City seems uncertain. He hasn't had much playing time this season, and there's talk that Guardiola might view him more as a coach than a player. Kyle Walker, on the other hand, appears to be ready for a new challenge. Reports suggest that he's leaning towards leaving at the end of the season, potentially seeking a break from the Premier League's non-stop pace. Then we have Kevin De Bruyne. With his contract nearing its end and no new talks about an extension, rumors are swirling that he could make a move to MLS. Yes, you heard that right. The San Diego club is said to be interested, offering him big money. A move this January is unlikely, but a summer transfer? That seems very possible. Lastly, we come to Jack Grealish. This is probably the biggest question mark of them all. Guardiola seems to back him, but Grealish's form has been a bit hit or miss. And now, there are whispers of Tottenham's interest. The problem? Grealish's massive salary. Spurs would need to pay up, and City won't be letting him go for anything less than the £100 million they spent to sign him from Aston Villa. So, where does all of this leave us? Manchester City is clearly gearing up for a major rebuild. Guardiola looks determined to refresh his squad and reclaim their dominance. Signing 3 or even 6 players in the January transfer window would send a bold message. It shows that City is willing to spend and make moves to get back to the top. Marmoush, Kusanov, Rice, all interesting targets, especially given their youth and potential. But on the flip side, players like De Bruyne and Grealish leaving could have a huge impact on City's attacking power. Perhaps Guardiola sees these new signings as replacements, or even upgrades. As for the midfield targets, Guimarães and Zubimendi would be game changers, but pulling them away from their clubs will be tricky. Douglas Luiz, however, seems like a more realistic option. But how well would he fit into Guardiola's system? That's still up in the air. What's clear is that this winter is going to be a wild ride for Manchester City. Transfer rumors are flying, talks are happening, and Guardiola is ready to make some major changes. Can the citizens strengthen their squad and climb back to the top? Only time will tell. So what do you think? Which transfers do you think are most likely to happen? Who would you like to see join Manchester City? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's dive into the discussion. Kavicha Kvaratskhelia, our favorite Georgian sensation, Kvara, is almost certainly heading to PSG. Can you believe it? This isn't just some rumor either. Credible sources like Di Marzio and Fabrizio Romano are practically confirming the transfer. It looks like Kvara will be making the move to Paris this winter. If the reports are true, Napoli is ready to let their star go for 80 million euros. And honestly, that makes sense given the situation Napoli finds itself in right now. De Laurentiis has learned from the whole Osimhen saga and is making sure he doesn't get burned again. And let's be real, 80 million euros is a solid deal, especially when you consider how little Napoli paid for Kvara initially. Credit where credit's due. Well done, Napoli. Now here's the spicy part. Rumors suggest PSG might include Milan Skriniar, their defender, in the deal. As usual, the French giants are trying to save some money by negotiating a better price. They seem serious about this transfer, with Skriniar playing the role of a bargaining chip. To be honest, he doesn't have much of a future at PSG, but this could be a useful move for Napoli. Don't forget, the guy was top-notch when he played in Serie A. Sure, he messed things up when he chased after big money, but hey, that's football. As for Kvaratskhelia himself, moving to PSG seems like a safe choice. The risk of him flopping there is low, and even if things don't go perfectly, he'll still have a hefty contract courtesy of Al Khelaifi. But here's the big question. Is this really a step up for him? That's debatable. To be honest, Napoli and PSG are pretty similar in terms of being dominant in their domestic leagues, but still lacking something on the European stage. Sure, PSG has more financial power and might be a bit stronger in the Champions League, but that's mostly on the surface. Now, if he was moving to a club like Barca or Bayern, that would be a whole different story. Or even better, if he took on the Premier League, that would be the ultimate test. But let's be real, the risks there are huge. So what's really going through Kvara's mind? If he's looking for big challenges and new horizons, PSG might not be the right place for him. On the flip side, will he even get offers from clubs like Bayern or Barca? Those opportunities might not come. At PSG, he'll have a steady income and a fresh start. Plus, if he proves himself, PSG could open the door to even bigger things later on. Let's not forget, Napoli is a unique club. It's not always the best measure of a player's potential. And that's one reason why no one's taken Osimhen for the eye-watering 120 million euros De Laurentiis is asking, despite the fact the market might justify it. So, here's the bottom line. This transfer probably isn't about chasing huge sporting ambitions. It's more about stability, comfort, and yes, the money. Personally, I don't think it's the perfect move, but it's not a bad one either. Ultimately, the decision is in Kvara's hands, and we'll just have to watch it unfold. Let's see how it all plays out. What do you think about Kvara's potential move to PSG? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to check out our previous episode. It's right here on your screen. That's all for today. Good luck to everyone, and see you soon.